Hi friends, it's Becky, and today I am going to be making a spooky something because I decided a few days ago to do at least one spooky design every day until Halloween, well, through Halloween. So I dug through my bead stash and my SilverSilk stash to come up with some beads that I can put together for a design. Now there is still going on the SilverSilk Diet challenge. It's a little challenge with a daily prompt. This is from the prompt from last week though. If you guys remember, I made the centipede bracelet and I made a really simple minimalist vampire necklace with some silver silk. One of the other prompts was to use some green and purple silver silk and make a witch's brew of a design. So this is some pipe chain that I have. It has green wire on it. So even though there's blue under it, I'm considering this as green because the blue goes with like the other things that I'm going to be using with this. And then I've got some purple flat mesh. This is pipe chain and this is flat mesh. Pipe chain has a tube in here that you can put wire or something else through when you're doing it, and then it's encapsulated in this knitted wire all around it. And this is just knitted wire that has been pressed flat. It's really drapey. So I'm going to be using both of these in my design. And then I went through my stash and pulled some things out. I found this laser cut witch design. I've got these little cat charms in the moon. I thought that would be really cool in a little witch's brew of a design. I've got these little Hershey's Kisses kind of hats, these witch hats that we're gonna dangle as charms in this design too. I thought this would be really fun to do. Then I've got some purple metallic bicones. These were all from my bead stash. They may have come in a bead box at one point, but I don't know which one it was right now. I've got this barrel bead, this faceted barrel bead that has like a two-tone color. Thought that would be really fun to do along with some of these other bicones when I make my pendant with that. And then we've got these like lime green pave rhinestone spacers that are got a really wide hole, so they're going to fit really well on the pipe chain for me to be able to have that on there. And then I'm going to be dangling these guys in between there. I thought that would be a lot of fun to do. And some of these came from the most recent bead box from Jesse James Beads, the Magical Mystery Bead Box. And then I had these in my stash from previous bead boxes, probably sometime last year, and also these purple pearls. So I thought we would use all of these. I also had, sometimes you get little extras when you order from Beadbox Bargains, and these hooks, they're just closures. I thought I would use one of these for the closure on this because I want to do like a front closure thing. I want to do a bar necklace using this and dangling these guys off of the pipe chain, and then a front closure with this just going around the back and having the hook be kind of in the front. So that'll be a lot of fun to do. Let me get out the ring and hook that I'm going to do that with. Put the rest of these away. Alright, let me move my SilverSilk out of the way for now. I'm going to be using these SilverSilk findings with the flat mesh. I am not going to be using my caps for my pipe chain because these little rondelle guys, they fit really, really well right on the end of there. Like, it's going to be all sparkly and beautiful, and it's going to protect the edges of the pipe chain. So I'm going to be using these for that, which means I'll put them over here. And what I want to do before I do anything else is start making my little dangles. And I'm going to do that using some craft wire. I've got some 20 gauge silver plated craft wire that I'm going to be using for that. I'm just straightening it out right now real quick. And let me get my round nose pliers, or you know what's going to work better is the bail making pliers for making my loops, because that way I can make sure that the loop is wide enough to fit on this. If I use this barrel right here, this is the third step down, 1, 2, 3. I can use that. Let me get the caliper out so I can be sure, because I always forget like how many millimeters it is. Okay, so yeah, that's about 5 and a half, 5 millimeters? I don't know. 5 millimeters, yeah. So that's what that one is. So that's the one that I'm going to be using to go make a loop that will fit on here. And all of these are going to need to slide onto there. So they're all going to need to be made with that loop size in mind. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of start making those loops like this. And then keep going around. Hold on to this. Push this around the stem a couple of times. I'm going to go through, I'm going to make a few of these just right here with you. In addition to my 6-step bail making pliers, I have some flat nose pliers and some chain nose pliers. And where is my wire cutter? Because I'm going to need that as well. There we go. That will work. Alright, and I'm just going to measure about 3, maybe 3.5 fingers down from there and make another one of these while I have my bail making pliers out, because I'm going to be making 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 of these, and then one that's going to be even longer than that for this part. Alright, so I'm just going to talk over this one again. Bend it back first. That way when I make my loop, it'll be centered. Push it around, rotate that so it's out of the way. And then once it's crossed over in front, like that, we can start wrapping. 1, 2, 3. Three fingers plus some. And I am going to be running out of this wire pretty soon, but that's okay because I got a backup spool. So I used a lot of wire when I was doing my wire wrapping challenge, or my chain challenge, my beaded chain challenge, because I used a lot of wire to make my beaded links. So I did have to get more. This particular wire is on sale this week, so I am probably going to be stocking up again as soon as I take stock of what I've used up and what I would like to get more of. I don't want to just go on the website and start buying stuff when I've already got like every size of like rose gold wire, and I don't use it as much as I use the others, you know. I've got a bunch of magenta wire, got some black wire. I just bought a bunch of black wire recently because Halloween. Oh, I should be using black wire. No, no, don't change it in the middle of doing this. I've already done 3 of these. Let's do 3 more and then the main focal. Yeah, I almost changed my mind just now. Not today, Becky. Not today. But yeah, for the challenge in the SilverSilk group, it's going on until Sunday. I think Sunday is the last day that you can post your creations. So I am getting caught up because I couldn't do all of them every single day. But that's why they give you so much grace and leeway with it. These look like little magic wands, maybe. Or lollipops. Or traffic signs. I don't know. What do you guys think they look like? Balloons? Balloons. Yeah. It's like a little bunch of balloons. Woo, floating away. Anyway, let's go back to what we're doing. I am ready for a weekend. I hope y'all are ready for a weekend as well. I forgot until just now that it's Friday. I was like, part of me was like, oh, I gotta go to work tomorrow. And like, I enjoy my work. I like the place that I work and the people that I work with and the things that I do. But still, after like 5 days, I'm like, I gotta get away from y'all for a little while. I know y'all know what I'm talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more of these. I told you I'm going to use up all of this. Good thing I've got my backup. I am going to need to get into that backup to go through my pipe chain because I'm going to be using this wire for that as well. Okay. Let's get our loop. On that end. 2, 3. Actually, this one's a little bit longer if I cut it down here, so I'm going to use this for my witch one because I need more room on that, and we'll just make a second one using my next spool of wire. Sometimes if there's kinks in it, you can work them out by bending it with your thumb and forefinger. But otherwise this just straightens it out a little bit and warms it up and makes it easier to use. Alright, so one more of these. There we go. Got these guys all made. So now let's make our dangles. I'm going to start with the top one. So this is the part that's going to need to go on the silver silk right here. So let's stack these beads. 1, 2, 3. And this is going to be hanging from the silver silk. So the silver silk will go through this way. So if that is that way, I want this to be facing forward, so I'm going to want my loop to also be going in the same direction as this loop. So if I'm looking at this loop and holding it with my pliers, and that has disappeared and turned into a line, then I can push this back away from me. And you can adjust these afterwards. I just like to start how I mean to go on. And I can either use my bail making pliers and use this smallest loop, or I can just grab my round nose pliers for this part and do a loop closer to the end of my round nose pliers because it doesn't need to be a big loop for this second one. It just needs to be big enough that I can hook my charm onto it. And then I can close that up after I've made that loop, hold on to it, and wrap this around until I get right there. Which way's the front, which way's the back? I don't think there's a front and back on this. I really don't. up next to that bead. Cut off the excess. Very carefully when you do this, just tuck that in. Don't press too hard because you don't want to crush the crystal on that bicone. All right, so that's one done. That's the guy in the center. All right, so speaking of witchy stuff, have y'all been watching Agatha all along? Because I cannot stop thinking about like the work of art that this Wednesday's episode was. And I am not going to do any spoilers whatsoever if you haven't watched it. But I just think it was absolutely brilliant writing, brilliant acting. Patti LuPone is a marvel. I think the first time I ever became aware of her as an actor was in Life Goes On. Do you guys remember that TV show? It was a like a dramedy, like kind of comedy, kind of drama show in the late 80s, early 90s, just with his family living in the Midwest. And it was one of those shows that like my family loved. We would watch it like every week when it was airing. She's just a really good actor, and she did an amazing job in the Agatha All Along show. So good. So good. All right. I'm busy thinking about it and not talking about it, because if I talk about it, I'll do spoilers. Like I think I can give a general, like, plot-ish, like what the kind of things that you would learn from seeing one of the trailers. So Agatha Harkness is a witch who used to get all of her powers by stealing them from other witches, and so in the WandaVision show, Wanda Maximoff took all of Agatha's powers away from her when they had this big fight. Spoiler. Which left Agatha like powerless and just kind of on her own, and so she gets talked into going down the witch's road. It's like this journey that they have, these trials that they have to do, and so she has to put together like a coven because she can't do it alone. She has to get all these other ladies involved. And it's sort of turning into the real power or the friends we made along the way kind of a show, but it's you know, a little more snarky than that. And that is probably not how it's going to end, probably. I don't know. I'm not in charge of writing. I'm ready to see the rest of it. The last 2 episodes will both be available on the 30th, though, so it's almost time for that show to be done. I just think it's a really well done show. It's got like a lot of visual like imagery that is fun and spooky, and you know, really great dialogue, good story. It's one of those that's just really well done. It's one of those ones that it probably isn't going to be like a multi-season thing. So it's probably going to tell this story and then they'll move on and tell a different story somewhere else. Let's see. Let's mirror our little kitties, I think. Actually, it doesn't matter right now which way I do it because I can turn this around when I'm stringing it onto the silver silk. Oh, that's not where you go. This is what happens when I get to chatting. I get distracted. So yes, I do like comic book shows. It's one of the things that I enjoy. Okay, 2 more and then we can start stringing. These like metallic purple bicones are just perfect for this, I think. These little hats are like, I think they're polymer clay. They feel polymer clay-y. They're not, they don't feel like plastic, is what I'm saying. They don't feel like acrylic or anything like that. Got one more. This part first. All I'm doing here is I'm just swinging this open so that there's more space for sliding this on there, because it's not, it's a bit thicker than like a jump ring would be, or like the edge of a metal charm would be. So I just was swinging that open so it could get that looked hooked, looped. I meant to say hooped, but then part of my brew was like, no, it's a loop. So I was saying Luke, looped on there. Yeah. Do you guys ever do that? You mean to say one word, but then your brain is like, but what if you used this word instead? And so you end up using like some combination of both of those words that's just absolutely wrong in any context. Sometimes my brain is my worst enemy. Alright, now let's get some of this cut. It's going to be kind of like a bar necklace, so I'm going to want enough room to string all of these with some of these in between. Let's do, actually I don't think I'll need all of them. One, and then one of those. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that'll probably be an appropriate length for this. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my silver silk, the pipe chain, to the length that I want. Sometimes you get little bits of wire that cling on there, so I'm just brushing them off with my fingers a little bit. I can put the rest of that away. Alright, so that is going to be my bar. Where'd you go, buddy? I'm going to need enough room for these guys and these guys, I think, on either side, so I'm just going to give myself that space by cutting this off. Oh, here we go. Here. I like to cut it after I straighten it because I'm holding onto it here and then straightening it there. That way I can cut it right below where I straightened it and not where I've got it all bent. That's just a little thing I like to do. Alright, now this doesn't need to be a large loop because it's just going to be this end I'm going to have hooked onto here. This loop is what the hook is going to hook onto when I do up my thing on one end. It's just going to be hooked on here. So let's do a wrapped loop on this side. I just put it over here. Okay. So bend that back, bring it forward, rotate my pliers, keep going around so that I've got a little wrapped loop. And then I'm going to just slide this ring onto that. I'm going to have to swing that open a little bit because it's kind of a thicker ring. Close that up. And I'm just going to wrap 1, 2, 3 times. 2, 3. That's the end. One end of my bar. And let's make sure that this is nice and straight, because I'm going to be sliding this purple pearl right there down on the end. And then this kind of, because it's got kind of a mid-size hole, this hole is much bigger, and this size fits right on here to protect those edges. So I'm going to put this on first, right there, and then this one, this is where I'm going to put my pipe chain on, my wire, scooch it down, get it inside that one right there. And now I am going to start putting these guys on. Make sure they go up over the pipe chain, and a little hat baby, and then another rondelle, and then a cat. Hats and cats and hats and cats and hats and cats. Do you guys remember the boots and cats thing? There we go. And another hat. And which direction is that hat? Let's do this hat facing this way. I just want the hats facing in different directions, like that. And then another one of these. And then my witch riding her broom. It's like the bewitched witch. And then let's do another rondelle. And another cat. This might be too long, actually, of a... Which way is this cat facing? I think I want the moon to be facing the other way. There we go. Okay, and then another one of these. And this hat, which way is that facing? Okay, perfect. Now, I think my favorite fictional witches would be the Terry Pratchett ones, like Nanny Ogg and Granny Weatherwax, and all of them. They're very practical people. There wasn't a lot of magic in that book series. Most of what people would call magic was people looking after each other. And honestly, I think I actually want to shorten my stuff here. So what I'm going to do is scooch this right out from the wire, cut off, it's still on here and here, but I'm going to cut off what I want to shorten it to, and then scooch that back on like that. Because I still want there to be some movement so that we have the pipe chain visible. I mean, why use pipe chain if it's just going to be covered? But I also didn't want it to be too long. Alright, so now we're going to put the other cap for the pipe chain on, which is basically just this rondelle right there. And then this purple bead. Boop. And I'm going to make a wrapped loop on the other side. It's right here. It's just a little on the awkward side, but that's okay. Alright. Now before I wrap it, I'm going to see how much of this flat mesh I want to use. Okay, I'm going to cut the flat mesh here. So this is going to go behind the neck, and one end will be attached here, and the other end will be attached to this hook. And we use these flat mesh crimps for each of the ends. So for the flat mesh crimp, I don't know if you can see there's some little teeth inside of here. That's going to grab right onto the flat mesh and hold on to it. I like to do a little fold on the flat mesh, just to fold it right over before I put it in. Where are my... Let's see, I have a plier that is actually much better at folding the flat mesh than that, but that works. And then tuck the sides in so they fit better inside. And I can put that right in there. And I like to use this to close my SilverSilk findings because it covers the whole thing. And then I like to give it a little tug just to make sure that it's good and secure. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other end right here, right now. Fold that end over. So it goes inside nicely. Smush, smush, smush the ends and the sides. Smush, smush, smush. Where are we going? I want to make sure that this is the same side is facing up. Okay. go. Because there's a little symbol on here, the SilverSilk symbol, so I want them to be facing on the same side. On here, feed my flat mesh in here. Give that a little close. Another reason to bend it over is because it gives it a little more to grip onto. It kind of stuffs the sausage a little bit. And you know what? I can use this little scrap in my scrappy make, because there's another prompt to Frankenstein together your scraps. Alright, so now that I've got that connected to my flat mesh, and forgot to do the little tug, but there we go, it's good. I'm going to just slide that on here. Hey buddy, all the way around, there we go. Hold on to my loop. And let's do some wrapping. Oop, that's a little too much. That's fine. I'm sure that's fine. Alright, and sometimes what I like to do with these bar necklaces is, instead of having it be a straight bar, to go ahead and go with the way it wants to work with gravity, or to not work against gravity. This is very... There we go. I like to give it just a little bit of a smile, just a little bit of a curve, like that. And that way when this comes around to the other side, it'll sit more nicely when it's being worn. Alright, so now I need to connect this to this, and I'm going to do that with a jump ring. Go. Does it feel witchy? It feels witchy to me. Once I've been unclose that jump ring, I'm going to hold one side steady and twist it open, and then put on my hook and the other side of my flat mesh. Oh boy, that was fun. Let's have that hook pointing up instead of to the side. That way, the loop. Right, I can hold that steady and twist it closed. Make sure that's good and closed and all met up. Alright! And now I can hook this onto its little thing right there in front and have my flat mesh go behind the neck. Why are you being difficult, friend? Hold on. This hook is too... Alright. I widened the little hook area just a little bit. There we go. By hook or by crook? These are getting caught on each other. That's fun. There we go. And there we go. This satisfies two of my challenges. My challenge to make something spooky for spooky season every day until Halloween, and also for the SilverSilk challenge to have some green and purple SilverSilk to make a witch's brew. Anyway, I hope you all are having a fantastic week, and I hope you have a great weekend. We're probably going to be making more stuff tomorrow. I'll see you then. Happy beading.